Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of the 1 Yard Line. I'm your host, Jared Vinecourt, joined by my co-host, Nick Terwarick. We have another great week of NFL this past weekend, and we're so excited to bring that to you. A little technical difficulties trying to get the show shut up today, Nick, but we are live. We are ready to go. As you can see, I am using a different type of mic today. Almost as a singer or a judge type on America's Got Talent. But we're going to make it work, Nick. We're going to make it work.
The tiny mics, it's kind of became a thing recently. Like that's like what a lot of people on TikTok do. They go around those tiny mics and put them right in people's face.
I'm here with so
exactly.
Anyways, let's get right to it. First and foremost, we have to conclude the international games this year in the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts and the Patriots played in Frankfurt, Germany. And I'm going to say, Nick, I'm kind of glad that game was in Germany because it was very boring. It was very boring.
I woke up at 11, and I'm like, should I turn this game on? I saw the score. It was a really low score. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to bother watching the rest of this game.
I mean, it's unfortunate for people in Frankfurt that didn't get to watch great football.
Mm-hmm. They did get a good game last week with the Chiefs and Dolphins. So this game kind of was a stinker compared to that one. But at least they got one good game.
Yeah, evens it out a bit. Glad they are able to grow the sport in Germany and at least get to see some football. And definitely going to see more games in the near future for next NFL season for sure. But let's move on to other games that were played back here on U.S. soil. We talked about it last week, and we got to continue to talk about him because he did play for Cleveland one another. Joshua Dobbs, man, is he on fire? What an incredible story with him and the Vikings. Now Dobbs is now 2-0 since making his glory beginning in Minnesota. 23 for 34, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, a QBR of 101.1, and he's just been spectacular in Minnesota.
Oh, he has been. I mean, to do what he's done so far, when he just got on the team 2 weeks ago, like he got on the team 4 days before that Falcons game. He's been on the team for less than 2 weeks and has already made such an incredible impact in Minnesota. Obviously, as a Browns fan, I've seen Josh Dobbs play a lot. Saw him play pretty much the past 2 preseasons. He's gotten a lot of the reps for the Browns, and I didn't know he had this in him. I did not. Like, I thought he was a good backup, solid player. Like, I was kind of hoping we held on to him this season to be the Browns' backup behind Deshaun. I think the Browns' season, honestly, would look a little different if we had him backing up Deshaun instead of P.J. Walker. But, again, I didn't know Dobbs had this in him. I mean, I don't think anyone did. He's on his 9th NFL team in 7 seasons. 9 teams, and he's out here doing this. He's got the chance to lead the Vikings to the playoffs now, and he's got the chance to earn a lot of money this offseason. If he keeps playing like this, he's going to get a big contract this offseason.
I mean, we talked about it last week on the show. Kirk Cousins, his last season in his contract, so if he doesn't re-sign, if you're Minnesota, no matter how the season ends, I feel like you've got to try to stick with him for another year.
If Dobbs keeps playing like this, Minnesota should definitely stick with him going forward because I think I've heard some things coming out of Minnesota that they have been wanting a mobile quarterback that can run around like this, Kevin O'Connell, and it just fits better in his offense. So, I mean, could Dobbs really be the long-term guy for Minnesota if he keeps playing like this? I don't see why not. I really don't.
And Nick, it's not just him. T.J. Hawkinson is taking over the reps for Justin Jefferson, who's on IR. Hawkinson, this past weekend against the Saints, 11 receptions, 134 yards, 1 touchdown. He has been going off and just taking Justin Jefferson's place.
I mean, T.J. Hawkinson's a great tight end. He's an amazing tight end. I mean,
it's got to be Dobbs' favorite target.
He has been at this point, yeah. Him and Jordan Addison are still 2 really good receiving options. So even without Justin Jefferson, that's like the Vikings have been fine in the passing game. But, I mean, getting Justin Jefferson back, though, I mean,
that's a dynamic duo waiting to happen.
How dangerous is this offense going to be once Justin Jefferson's back in the fold? The Vikings, they do have a bit of a problem at running back right now. Their top 2 guys have gotten injured now this season, in Alexander Mattison and Cam Akers, who they traded for from the Rams. He tore his Achilles. Hopefully he gets better. It's tough for him because this is the 2nd time now he's torn his Achilles. So rooting for Cam Akers. Hope he comes back strong. But yeah, the Vikings have a bit of a running back issue, but I honestly don't think it matters too much with how effective their passing game has been in recent weeks. So, and especially getting Justin Jefferson back. Like, the sky is the limit for the Vikings offense the rest of the season. I did not think I would be saying that about a Josh Dobbs-led offense in Week 9, that the sky is the limit. But, I mean, it's true. We've seen Josh Dobbs play. The Passtronaut, it's such a cool nickname. That's such a cool nickname. That's such a cool nickname.
And we talked about it earlier in the show in past weeks. Their upcoming 5 games since getting Dobbs. Now they're on game 3 of 5. And they will play on Sunday Night Football against Denver, in Denver, who we'll talk about later in the show, just beat Buffalo last night. And both of these teams are on winning streaks. Minnesota started 1-4. Now they're 6-4. They've won 5 in a row. Denver has won 3 in a row, I believe.
Yes.
Started
1-5.
Yeah, started 1-5 and now 4-5. So even though on paper it doesn't look like a good Sunday Night Football game, I think it's definitely going to speak some division and playoff rankings.
I think that game is going to be a really good game, honestly. Both teams are playing their best football right now. Both teams' defenses at the beginning of the year look like 2 of the worst in the league, but in recent weeks have played a lot better football.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, the Broncos' defense, they give up 70 in Week 3, and lately they've just been holding all their opponents in check. They held Patrick Mahomes to 9 points. They held Josh Allen to 22 points. I mean, so the Broncos' defense is kind of clicking right now. So I'm really looking forward to this matchup, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We go to the other side of the ball, the Saints. They lose Derek Carr to injury, shoulder/concussion injury. They don't know what it is exactly yet. Carr was doing decent until he got hurt. Winston came in to back him up, kept him in the game. Saints are 5-5, and they're in first place. We talked about it earlier. The NFC South is not the greatest division.
It's the worst division in football by far.
And we talked about on Come On Ref that this team, whoever wins this division, whether that's the Saints, whether that's the Falcons, whether that's another team, it's going to be an 8 or 9 win team.
Yeah, 9 wins will get it done. If you have a winning record, you're going to win the NFC South. I mean, last year, a losing record won the division with Tampa.
Right.
So, I mean, 2 years in a row now, it's been the worst division in football. And I remember, I think the top 3 teams in this division started out the season 2-0, I believe, and everyone was like, "Oh, is this division really that bad?" No, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, because Tampa Bay started 3-0, and then I think they lost like 4 in a row or something like that.
They're 4-5 now. Atlanta, I believe, started 3-0. Now they're 4-6.
And they just lost Heineke due to injury.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that right now it's the Saints division to lose just because they have the most established talent of any team in that division. I mean, Tampa, their defense is very questionable, in my opinion. I like their offense. Baker Mayfield's playing well with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. But the Saints, they're inconsistent. They're boring to watch. They don't play.
Besides Chris Olave and Michael Thomas, Michael Thomas, let's be honest, we love him because he went to Ohio State, but
he's not the same player.
He hasn't done that much.
Player. No, I mean,
since coming back from injury.
Alvin Kamara hasn't been the same the past couple years now. Chris Olave is really the only big-time playmaker on that offense anymore.
Right.
And Derek Carr, I think he's been throwing a lot of checkdowns this year. That's really what the Saints offense has been, a lot of checkdowns, not really fun play. And I think it was honestly kind of refreshing to see Jameis Winston in that game. Because with Jameis Winston, you're not going to get a boring offense. Jameis Winston's going to make things entertaining. And he did. When he rolled out all the way to his left, threw it to the opposite field back corner of the end zone, and somehow it came down and the Saints ended up with a touchdown on that play. Only Jameis Winston's making that throw. And Jameis Winston, he threw 2 touchdowns after coming in, but he also threw 2 interceptions. So I think if you put Jameis in this offense, it would make things more entertaining. I don't know if the Saints would be a better team, but it would definitely be a more entertaining team with Jameis Winston in there.
I think this is a hot take because we never know what will happen for the rest of Jameis Winston's career, but I definitely think he could become the next Ryan Fitzpatrick. Go from team to team, keep the team in the game, keep them in playoff contention all season, and then just go from one team to another. Because he's a backup right now, but he was a starter once, and he didn't do that bad.
And I've missed watching Jameis play the past couple of years because, man, he's fun to watch. He really is fun to watch when he's out there. And he definitely does have a lot of the same qualities as Ryan Fitzpatrick with the making completely throws where you're just like, why the hell would you throw that football? But sometimes it works, and that's the beauty of having a quarterback like that. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it'll not work, and it'll cost your team big time. So the Saints, screw it. Start Jameis, please. I know you just gave Derek Carr that money, but if you want to be watchable this season, start Jameis Winston.
The only thing he doesn't have is that beard that Fitzpatrick has.
He does not have.
He's not able to do that. But anyways, let's go to another game that we are anticipating and looking forward to watch. but in the end was a blowout. The San Francisco 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, a highly anticipated game, and the Jacksonville Jaguars were just not ready, Nick.
No, they were not. I mean, the Jags, they've been playing really good football lately, but they just came into this game and got steamrolled by San Francisco. And Trevor Lawrence's numbers this year aren't great. They just aren't great. He threw 2 picks again yesterday. His numbers have taken a deep fall off this season, and in a year where a lot of people expected him to take another leap and ascend to maybe MVP level type performance, he just has not done it this year. And I don't know if it's a reflection more on him or on the team around him in Jacksonville, which he has some good receivers there with Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. They have a really good offense, but for whatever reason, they just have not been as productive this season as they have last year. But they're still 6-3. I mean, they still are in first in the AFC South. But the Houston Texans, they are coming.
Yeah, they are making their way.
So I'm not panicking if I'm the Jaguars right now because you're just coming off a 5-game win streak. I honestly think this was more about the Niners. They were fed up of losing. They had lost 3 straight games.
Right.
They had their bye week to reset. This is the game that you needed if you're the Niners to get back on track. I mean, they just dominated the Jaguars, and they had basically everyone on their offense scored a touchdown besides Christian McCaffrey, who's almost NFL record streak of scoring a touchdown in every single game came to an end this week. And they certainly tried to get him the ball. Did you see that in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, in the fourth quarter.
They gave it to him 4 straight times,
and he still missed.
So, I mean, that's how much they're up by, though. They could just stat pad at the end of the game.
You were talking about the numbers, Nick. For Trevor Lawrence, 17 for 29, only 185 yards and 2 interceptions. That's not going to get it done, especially with those 2 turnovers. On the other side of the ball, Brock Purdy, 19 for 26, 296 yards, 3 touchdowns. They get Deebo Samuel back from injury. He has 3 rushes for 29 yards and a touchdown, and he also had 4 receptions for 30 yards. So, Nick, my question to you, getting Deebo Samuel back, even though McCaffrey couldn't keep his touchdown streak, do you think the 49ers are back after this game?
I'd say so. They just needed to really get healthy. I mean, they got really banged up in that Cleveland game, which I think that Cleveland game kind of put them into a spiral a bit. I mean, they lost 2 after that, obviously, but I just think after that game, they came out of it injured. They came out of that game shocked that they had lost because before that game, they seemed unbeatable. So I think it took a couple of weeks to get back healthy, to get back to who they are, and I think at this point, the Niners are going to be fine. They're going to end up with a top 3 seed in the NFC. They're going to be there come playoff time. They're going to be dangerous. So I'm not worried about the Niners anymore. I think they're going to be fine. That's really it with the Niners.
Well, we'll see how they match up in Seattle in a couple weeks.
On Thanksgiving.
Yeah, definitely a big division game.
They're tied with Seattle right now in first place.
Yeah, so that will be an important game to watch in their division. As we move over to Monday Night Football last night, Nick, that was just such a crazy game. Roller coaster of emotions. Denver gets the victory, 25-22. Denver missed the game-winning field goal, but Buffalo had 12 men on the field, so they got to kick it again, and they kicked the game winner and win the game. Buffalo, 4 turnovers, and now Allen has
3 of them by Josh Allen.
Yeah, and now Allen has thrown an interception in his 6th straight game. This Buffalo team is just going off the walls right now. They basically gift-wrapped this game to Denver. I mean, all Denver really had to do is keep kicking field goals off their turnovers. I mean, this was just a debacle between Buffalo and Denver. And the Bills, we just saw earlier today, they fired their offensive coordinator. So if you're Bills Mafia, you got to be in panic mode right now, Nick.
I mean, yeah, after that game, everyone came to the conclusion, Bills need to make some changes if they ever really want to get back to the level that they were the past couple seasons where people thought that they were Super Bowl contenders, people thought that they could maybe take down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but obviously they haven't been able to do that in the playoffs, and now these regular season struggles they don't look like they've looked the past couple of years. In every single way, they look downgraded from what they have been the past couple seasons, which past couple years they've been top 5 offense, top 5 defense in the regular season. This year, it's been just bad offense, really, honestly. At the beginning of the year, they were playing all right, but in recent weeks, Josh Allen's play has just not been what we're used to from seeing from Josh Allen. Although I will say we've kind of gotten used to the turnovers at this point, which is concerning. He leads the league in interceptions. He's now got 11 picks. And he's such a great quarterback. It's just he makes these decisions sometimes.
He does it. He makes throws in double coverage, or him and the receivers are not on the same page.
He just makes throws sometimes where you're like, what are you doing, dude? Like, he takes the gunslinger mentality to just a whole nother level sometimes, and it's just frustrating to watch because he'll make a throw where you're like, wow, that's why Josh Allen's special. That's why he's been an MVP candidate. That's why they paid him all that money. Then he makes a throw where you're like, what is he doing? What's going on in his brain? I don't understand Josh Allen sometimes, and I'm glad the Bills made a change at OC. I think at this point they had to make some sort of change. And if they miss the playoffs this year, I definitely think that we'll be seeing a lot more changes coming soon in Buffalo, which maybe Sean McDermott gets fired.
With the head coach.
Maybe Stephon Diggs gets traded out of Buffalo. We've seen Trayvon Diggs be pretty active on Twitter the past 24 hours.
I mean, we have seen how bad Stephon Diggs wants that Super Bowl ring. I mean, when they lost in the AFC Championship game to Kansas City,
out there crying, watching the ceremony.
Yeah, so we know how bad he wants it. We know how hard he works. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, I see his brother do it all the time at cornerback. So, I mean, there might be some changes come this offseason if the Bills don't make the playoffs. I mean, they're looking into the playoffs right now because they're not even in a spot right now.
No.
You know, Miami, 6-3 right now. Bills 5-5. If my math is correct, I don't know it off the top of my head. I believe that's a 2-game lead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, I think it's less actually. Just it's 1.5, but the Bills also have the tiebreaker over them.
Gotcha.
Because they did beat them. It'll be interesting to see the next Buffalo and Miami matchup to see if Buffalo's just still has their Miami's number like they have in recent years. I mean, I was shocked when they beat them 48-20 earlier this season.
I mean, we've seen it. Miami cannot beat good teams. They've lost to Buffalo. They've lost to the Eagles. They've lost to the Chiefs.
At this point, you can't even call Buffalo a good team right now. You can't. They're 5-5. They're an average team. They're an average team. That's what they are. So and the Bills' remaining schedule, we talked about it, very tough. Very tough.
They will have the Chiefs, the Eagles, I believe, and the Cowboys as well. So those 3 games are really games you have to win if you want to get in the playoffs.
And at this point, I don't think Buffalo is built to win those games. I just don't. I mean, I think this year really is going to end up being a lost year for the Bills, and they're going to have to come out and make a lot of changes this offseason. I mean, you still have Josh Allen. You're going to have Josh Allen for the next decade probably. And Josh Allen is a good enough quarterback that you can build a dominant offense around him. I know he makes a lot of turnovers, but he's still a really good quarterback. I think with new OC, they're going to have a new OC coming in. They said they're going to promote Joe Brady, who called the plays for the infamous 2019 LSU team that went 15-0 and had one of the best offenses in college football history. He also was the OC for the Carolina Panthers in 2020 and 2021, but got fired halfway through 2021 because he was not doing nearly as well in Carolina as he did at LSU.
Right.
So he gets a second chance at calling plays in the NFL. We'll see if he's able to get Josh Allen playing like MVP candidate Josh Allen the past few years.
I definitely think Allen needs more weapons because he relies on Stephon Diggs way too much.
It's still too Diggs oriented. Dalton Kincaid's been really solid for them,
and even Knox too.
Yeah, Knox has been kind of quiet this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he's a good tight end. He's a good receiver, and he doesn't use him as much as he should.
No, I mean they drafted Kincaid. Kincaid's been getting most of the tight end targets for them. But
I definitely think you got to swap him out.
I think you got to look out, Gabe Davis has been disappointing for me. Everyone thought he was going to be a breakout star, number 2 next to Diggs after that 4-touchdown playoff game in Kansas City.
He doesn't get enough targets. I'm sorry, Josh Allen just doesn't like to throw to him.
I don't think he's open enough. I mean, you think he'd get more targets if he was open.
I mean, he's a giant. He can jump up and reach for it.
He's a big play or nothing type receiver. Like, he only makes, downfield receptions. He's not consistently open for Josh Allen. So I think at this point they're going to have to invest in another receiver opposite Stephon Diggs, whether it's in the draft, whether it's in free agency or via trade. And this is hoping the fact that Stephon Diggs stays there, which he might not even. based off Trayvon Diggs' tweets the past
I mean, if
24
he
hours.
joins his brother, the Cowboys would appreciate the help.
He does not need to end up in Dallas, Jared, you delusional Cowboy fan.
I know. I'm just saying, we definitely could use just some receiver help. But,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Buffalo's going to have to make big changes this offseason if they want to get back in the mix in the AFC. That's really what it comes down to.
We'll have to wait and see how their season concludes. I mean, we just finished Week 11, and we're on Week 12 coming up. So only basically a month and a half left of the season. So it'll be gone just like that. Another big game that we want to talk about, and this is going to lead into the conclusion of the show. We talked about him last week. C.J. Stroud going into Cincinnati and beating the Cincinnati Bengals, scores a touchdown, brings up the OH. I can't do it because I have the microphone in my hand, but does the OH. He talks about how much he loved Ohio, how much he loved Ohio State. And C.J. Stroud in this game goes 23 for 39 through 356 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a QBR of 87.1, and going to his favorite target, who is also a Buckeye, Noah Brown, 7 receptions, 172 yards. Those two have really hit cylinders, Nick.
I want to talk about Noah Brown for sure because, man, this guy has been in the league this is his 7th season in the NFL. On Dallas, he was a backup pretty much the entire time until last year. Last year was the first time he really got a chance to
show
be a
his
starter
skills
after Dallas traded Amari Cooper away.
Yeah.
And he was okay for Dallas last year. He was a decent third receiver.
Oh, yeah.
I know
yeah.
a lot of Cowboys fans don't like him because he had that infamous drop against the Jaguars that led to a Dak Prescott interception. So I know a lot of Cowboys fans don't really like him or have the fondest memories of him. But ever since he signed with Houston, C.J. Stroud has brought his game to a completely different level. Back-to-back 150-plus yard games from a guy who I saw something that he has had 20% of his career receiving yards in the past 2 weeks.
Really?
Yes, the past 2
my.
weeks. And he's been in the league for 7 years. He's a former 7th-round pick out of Ohio State, just, again, virtually unknown. And C.J. Stroud is making him look like a Pro Bowl receiver out here.
Well, we've seen it in the past, and we're definitely seeing it now, how great Ohio State receivers do in the NFL. But we talked about it earlier with Jacksonville, the Texans making their way up to the top right now in the AFC South. They definitely can dethrone Jacksonville. They have 1 game left, and that'll be a highly anticipated division game between Jacksonville and the Texans. But going to the other side, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe Burrow goes 27 for 40, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a QBR of 90.3. Nick, at the end of the day, the turnovers really cost the Bengals.
They did. And C.J. Stroud had a big turnover late, too, so both QBs had pretty big interceptions in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, I think Burrow, despite the turnovers, played a pretty solid game. He still put up over 340 yards. I mean, he did almost all he could. If he just didn't turn the ball over, we would be looking at this as just another great Joe Burrow performance, and that Joe Burrow is still fully back. But he did turn the ball over. The Bengals did lose. They now fall to last place in the AFC North. It's crazy. They're 5-4 and are in last place. That is rough.
It's duly noted that Jamar Chase had a big game again, 5 receptions, 124 yards, and a touchdown, and they played without T. Higgins. Mm-hmm. So do you think, Nick, if the Bengals would have had T. Higgins, do you think they would have won this game?
I don't think so because I don't think they were stopping C.J. Stroud.
I
don't think so. C.J. Stroud, he's too ice cold, man.
He's breaking rookie records, and he's in the interception against Cincy, Nick. That's only his second interception of the year. Second interception.
That's why I'll give C.J. Stroud a pass for that one because that's only his second of the year. That's the first rookie mistake he's really made this season. I mean, at this point, I know we kind of laughed about it last week because people started mentioning it. C.J. Stroud in the MVP conversation. Right now, he is firmly in that conversation.
Definitely top 5.
He's second in the NFL in passing yards, has a 15-2 touchdown to interception ratio, and he's taken the Texans from a 3-win team last season to already 5-4 and in a playoff spot right now.
And if you would have asked me who the Texans receivers were a year ago, I would have no idea who they are.
And he's elevated his receivers. His top targets are Noah Brown, a guy who we didn't hear of until this season, really. Tank Dell, a third-round rookie. Nico Collins, another guy who we didn't really hear much about until this season. And Dalton Schultz, who in Dallas was solid, but again, he's been better playing with C.J. Stroud than he was in Dallas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, C.J. Stroud is elevating everybody around him. He's elevating the Texans team into a playoff spot. So, C.J. Stroud is a legitimate MVP candidate as a rookie. That is crazy to say.
I mean, if he won MVP, that'd be insane. That's got to be the best rookie season of all time.
The last rookie to win MVP, the only rookie to do it in NFL history, Browns fans, Jim Brown in 1957.
And he was a running back.
We have not seen a rookie win MVP since 1957. A rookie quarterback has never won MVP. So if C.J. Stroud keeps this up, man, we're going to be talking about maybe the best rookie season by a quarterback in NFL history. That's crazy to say.
They're going to start calling them the Houston Strouds, like the Cleveland Browns.
They should.
Yeah, definitely.
I am a proud Stroud Boys member, though. The C.J. Stroud fan club, Stroud Boys. Shout out.
Are you actually?
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
So shout out PFT commenter of Barstool. He created that, I believe, and I am a proud Stroud Boys member.
You're one of many.
Yes.
But yeah, really happy for CJ as a Buckeye fan, and hopefully they can dethrone the Jaguars. That'd be amazing.
If the Texans win that division, give DeMeco Ryans Coach of the Year. Give C.J. Stroud MVP. Give him all the awards.
That's comeback of the year
for that division, man.
That's comeback of the year for a team.
I mean, I thought the Jaguars' turnaround last year was impressive, going from the worst team in the league to winning that division. But if the Texans do it this year, I think it's even more impressive because it's Stroud's rookie season that he's able to do that.
Right. Lawrence had to get some years under his belt.
Yeah, he was in year 2. I mean, obviously had to deal with Urban Meyer his rookie year, but C.J. Stroud doing it in his rookie season and completely changing the image of the Texans franchise, the team that was looked down on, made fun of. Like, no one has had any positive things to say about the Texans the past couple seasons. Ever since Bill O'Brien blew them up, traded out DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson's whole situation, the whole mess that happened with that, the Texans have been looked down on as an organization. They've been made fun of. People just had no good things to say about him. And now C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans have changed that organization. Just can't give enough credit to both those guys.
Absolutely. We move into our final game here on the show today. Another 2 teams in the AFC North that we're very familiar with, Nick. The Browns and the Ravens. Oh, it was a shootout. It was a thriller. Roller coaster of emotions for Cleveland fans and Baltimore fans. Watson went 20 for 34, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a QBR 74.8, and he went 14 for 14.
That's the most important part.
In the second half. Lamar, on the other hand, 13 for 23, 233 yards, a QBR of 67.8, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, Nick. Definitely, the Browns' defense really stepped up because Lamar usually doesn't throw interceptions.
No, I mean, and in the first half, the Browns' defense didn't play great. They played fine, but not great. Not great in the first half. The second half, they just stepped up. After giving up that touchdown to Odell on the first drive, their defense was fully clamps. Besides when they scored that touchdown after the muff punt, which it took them like 8 downs to do so because they got a bunch of penalties. The Browns' defense was absolutely clamps in the second half, and that's why it's one of the best defenses in the league. I think it's the best, personally, but that it showed why the Browns are such a dangerous team. Their defense will keep them in the game till the last minute every single game.
And let's talk about their special teams. Another blocked field goal.
Yes, they do.
Because if Justin Tucker makes that, he's a future Hall of Famer kicker. I mean, if he makes that, Browns might probably lose this game.
They might. They definitely could have. I mean, the special teams overall, I mean, the muff punt, I don't blame that on, like, the whole unit as a whole. I'm going to say James Prochet should not be back there returning any more punts. You have one job to catch the football. Catch the football.
Yeah, there's a lot that, maybe he was nervous, like he was feeling people around him.
He's a double agent. He's a former Raven. He had an inside deal with his former teammates on the Ravens to give the Ravens that game.
I'll tell you what, being a punt returner, especially a punt returner, kick returner too, but especially a punt returner, when you got 3 guys surrounding you as you're trying to catch a football, yelling, screaming at you, right on top of you, It's a lot of pressure.
No, definitely. And thank God the Browns. If that would have been the reason the Browns ended up losing this game, I would have. After that sequence, the muff punt leading to the Browns thinking that they held them to a field goal after stopping them, but guess what? Holding call on Greg Newsome.
Right.
Ravens keep the drive alive. Another third down. Another defensive holding call.
Yeah.
Touchdown 2 plays later.
That
was the most brutal sequence. That sequence just made me lose it as a Browns fan. I thought the game was over after that Gus Edwards touchdown. I'll be honest. I thought it was over. I did not think we were coming back.
Ever since they've beaten the 49ers, besides the Cardinals game, penalties have really killed them.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest here. Half of their penalties are on their defense, especially on Myles Garrett, because he just likes to jump the gun.
He's been better the past few weeks. He has since that Colts game. He's been better.
He's been better, but at the same time, you don't need to cost us 5 yards every other drive.
Listen,
come on.
Myles makes up for it with his sacks. I mean, he had 1.5 on Lamar today, or yesterday. I'm sorry. But man, I got to talk about Deshaun Watson. I mean, people were writing him off in the first half. I saw everyone on Twitter posting his stat line. Oh, he's 1 for 9. Worst trade in NFL history. He sucks. Browns are screwed. Why? But then
you still got to give him time. You still got to give him time.
In the second half, he goes 14 for 14, leads the comeback, leads the game-winning drive, does everything he needs to do. He outplays Lamar Jackson on the road in Baltimore, and no one's posting his stat line after that. All the people who were hating on him in the first half were dead silent after the game. And
because they don't like to admit that they're wrong.
They don't, and they're just obviously Deshaun Watson is not based off the accusations. Does not seem like the best guy. Does not. But if you're gonna be tweeting out his stats when he's 1 for 9, you better be tweeting out his stats as well when he's 14 of 14 in the second half, leading game-winning drives, and leading the Browns to a 5-1 record as a starter this season. In 12 games as a Brown, he is 8-4 as a starter. Not bad for the so-called worst trade in NFL history, some people are saying.
You still got to give it time because at the end of the day, the Browns got to make the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs.
No, they do.
To make it worth a trade.
I'm saying the people calling dunking all over the Browns and dunking all over the trade, they were the ones being a little too premature.
Yeah.
Because it is not by any means a done deal with that trade yet. We're not going to know really until a couple more years down the road really how beneficial that trade was. I mean, unless they win a Super Bowl this year, which I think they are contenders. But if they win a Super Bowl, obviously it's worth it. It's obviously the trade's worth it.
That would be a one-hit wonder, honestly, because I don't know if they could do that again.
I mean, I'll take one. Just one before I die is all I ask for, and that would be worth it in my opinion. But again, there's just a clear double standard around Deshaun Watson and the Browns. I mean, when they're losing, when things aren't going well, the media dumps on them so hard. But when they come back and win like this, I've seen more people talking. I saw the clip from First Take yesterday. All they were talking about is Lamar Jackson. Are you concerned about Lamar Jackson? Not giving the Browns any credit. If the Browns would have lost that game, guess what the conversation would have been? Oh, Deshaun Watson sucks.
Yeah.
Why did they give him all that money? That's what the conversation would have been. I don't know. I just think that I'm sick of the double standard around the Browns. I'm sick of people kicking them when they're down, but then not being man enough to accept that they're wrong and giving them their credit when they are doing well.
Well, let's hopefully they can eat people's words and prove that with a division title maybe. Who knows? Want to talk about the running game, though. Browns did a great job defensively between Baltimore's running game. Mitchell and Edwards combined for 14 rushes for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. So at the end of the day, besides those 2 touchdowns, Nick, the Browns defense really held the run game between Baltimore.
Oh, they definitely did. I mean, Gus Edwards, 11 carries for 24 yards. You hold him to 2 yards a carry. I mean, that is as impressive as a defensive effort against the run as you will get. And Lamar Jackson really didn't burn him on the ground too much.
No, not really. He was too busy getting sacked.
We've seen him absolutely torch us with his legs before. That really didn't happen this game. And after that big run by Keaton Mitchell in the first quarter, the Browns really shut down the Ravens' entire run game. I mean, Keaton Mitchell had a 39-yard run. He finished with 34 rushing yards.
Right.
I mean, that's how good the Browns' defense was after that run.
I mean, and on the other side, the Browns' run game was amazing. Jermaine Ford, 17 carries for 107 yards. He looked fantastic.
I mean, that's the best I've seen Jerome Ford play, honestly. I thought he played pretty well against the Steelers. He played decent against the Cardinals, but this was the best game I've seen out of Jerome Ford by far.
Against a good Baltimore defense.
He's not a bad running back. I think a lot of Browns fans have dumped on him because he's not Nick Chubb, and that's what we've grown to expect out of our running backs is the best in the league, Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford's solid. He gets the job done. I'm not going to complain about Jerome Ford at all. I think he's a really good running back. Kareem Hunt does what he does. He just churns out extra yards, does the dirty work inside.
He gets the first downs.
He gets the first downs. He scored a touchdown in 5 straight games now, Kareem Hunt has. So, I mean, again, shout out Andrew Berry bringing him back because I don't know where he would be without Kareem Hunt, honestly, right now.
Right.
He's a great running back. I'm so thankful that he's back on the team. The Browns' offense, if they get that offensive effort, like the second half offensive effort, every week, Browns are going to be almost damn impossible to beat if their offense. Obviously, they're not going to play like that consistently. We know. But when their offense is clicking on all cylinders like that, they're going to be really, really hard to beat.
Yeah. With Moore and Cooper, I mean, those are the dynamic duo for receiving.
And David Njoku, too, man. He was
he
running
gets,
all over people last game.
He gets yards after tackles all the time, and it's just amazing.
David Njoku's average depth of target last week on Sunday was 1.4 yards past the line of scrimmage. He ended up with 58 receiving yards, and on all screens, pretty much, is what all the passes were to him. He just gets yards after the catch. He runs over defenders. He makes guys miss. And that run where he just trucked the guy, carried him for like 10 yards.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was impressive. Strength.
It really was. And that going along with the Jerome Ford run at the end of the game where they pushed him for an extra.
That was some longest yard stuff.
It really was. And just seeing a Browns team fight like that, man.
Yeah, Teller.
I've been waiting my whole life to see a Browns team fight like that and have this toughness and have this strength. This is the Browns team in terms of that I've been waiting to see for so many years.
Yeah, they were pushing him above the line, got an extra 5-6 yards. Teller and the offensive line just leading the charge in that.
I mean,
it was amazing.
Wyatt Teller also absolutely decked somebody in the second quarter. One clip that was that was a great clip to watch. I mean, just all around effort by the Browns, man. All around effort, and I'll say it right now. That's the happiest I've been after a win.
I think all the Cleveland fans have been
besides the Pittsburgh playoff game. That is the happiest I've been after a Browns win in my life.
I think all Browns fans are, Nick, because the Browns, Jeff Harbaugh against the Browns in his career before entering. John. I'm getting confused with him and his brother.
His brother's Jim.
Jim, yeah. Anyways, excuse so many names with Jeff. Anyways. Harbaugh coming into that game before facing the Browns was 25-6.
We don't beat the Ravens in Baltimore, really. I mean, it was the first time we beat them in Baltimore in 4 years. It seems like every 4 years we beat them in Baltimore because we beat them in 2015 in Baltimore, we beat them in 2019, now we beat them in 2023. But, I mean, this is a game that I feel like in past years the Browns would have rolled up and gave up down 14 in Baltimore. There's just
especially that early.
Yeah, I mean, they went down early 14. They were down 15 in the third quarter. They were down 14 in the fourth quarter. And they just never gave up. They showed fight. They showed toughness. And if this isn't an example of how this Browns team is just different than the other ones we've seen in recent years, then I don't know what is, because they definitely would have lost that game in recent years.
Yeah, I agree. We've been talking about these AFC North teams, Nick, and let's get into the AFC North a little bit. Best division in football by far. Baltimore 7-3, Pittsburgh 6-3, Cleveland 6-3, and Cincy is 5-4. Big AFC North matchups coming up this week in football. Thursday night football, Baltimore and Cincy. Browns take on the Steelers on Sunday. And you look at these next 3 games. Baltimore faces Cincy, then they go to LA to face the Chargers on their bye week, and they're home against the Rams. Pittsburgh at Cleveland, at Cincinnati, and then they are home against Arizona. Browns versus Pittsburgh, go to Denver, and then they go to LA. And then Cincy at Baltimore versus Pittsburgh, and then at Jacksonville. So you look at these next 3 weeks, Nick, these are some highly anticipated games
definitely.
that everyone's going to be paying attention to.
Definitely, for sure. I mean, this Browns-Steelers game coming up this Sunday has so many ramifications on it. I mean, both teams are 6-3. They're tied for second place right now in the division. Steelers currently have the tiebreaker over the Browns, but the Browns could get it back if they beat them this Sunday. So that game has a ton of ramifications coming up. Ravens-Bengals, that obviously with that game has so much riding on it, because if the Bengals win that game, they're 6-4. Ravens are 7-4. Browns-Steelers then becomes for first place in the North.
Right.
So and if every team, if the most chaotic option is if the Bengals beat the Ravens, stuff gets chaotic in this division, because all four teams would be within 7 and 6 wins, between 7 and 6 wins if the Bengals beat the Steelers.
And if you would have told me before the NFL season started that Cincinnati would be in last place right now, I would have said you're crazy.
I mean, yeah,
in Pittsburgh with 6 wins, and Browns with the 6 wins.
Pittsburgh is they just never go away. That's just what they are.
With their defense, yes.
Yeah, they just never go away. I mean, they're not the most talented team. They've been outgained every single game this season, and somehow are 6-3. That's crazy. I mean, Mike Tomlin's doing a really good job with that team. Also, they should extend Matt Canada.
Had to put that one in there, didn't you?
Yeah, they should extend Matt Canada. Give him a couple more years.
In the Canadian Football League, you mean?
No, with the Steelers. Yes.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Kenny Pickett is definitely a franchise quarterback. I'm kidding. But somehow they're 6-3, man. They just don't go away.
It's the Steelers, man. They're always in the conversation.
I mean,
especially with Mike Tomlin.
As a Browns fan, I should be really confident heading into this Sunday, coming off the biggest win we've had in a long time. I mean, they beat a Ravens team, who are a much more talented team than the Steelers are. But I'm still not confident. Obviously, I think they are going to win, but I'm not confident. I would not be surprised if they lost, just because it's like, they're the damn Steelers. They never go away. They find ways to win games that they shouldn't. So this game Sunday is going to be a bloodbath. I already know it is.
Yeah.
And so is Ravens-Bengals on Thursday night. All AFC North rivalry games are bloodbaths. That's why it's the best division in football. So I'm looking forward to this week of football. It's going to be great. And there's going to be a lot of shakeup that could potentially happen with the results of these games.
Yeah, it's going to be chaos, and for playoff seeding as well. The top 3 teams in the AFC North, I believe, are in the playoffs right now. The season ended today. So it's crazy to think that 3 out of 4 teams in a division would be in the playoffs right now.
And if the Bengals win on Sunday, then it could go back to being all 4 again.
Yeah.
So,
which is crazy.
It really is, man. This division's insane. Of course, the one year the Browns are good, the entire damn division is elite.
Well, when you got Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and you got T.J. Watt on your defense,
yeah.
Those are 3. Those are the faces of their franchises.
Yeah, Myles Garrett's the face of the Browns as well. So,
yeah.
It's a great division. I'm glad to be a part of the division as a Browns fan. I'm glad I'm a part of such a highly competitive and intense division, but it also just does suck sometimes, because it's like we're 6-3 and technically we're in 3rd place right now. Like, it'd be nice to be in the NFC South and just be comfortably in first place right now. But, that's not an option. It's more fun this way when you have intense rivalries like this, big games. And I think this Sunday is the biggest Browns-Steelers game since the playoff game, probably. Ramifications-wise. So much is riding on this one game coming this Sunday. Obviously, the Browns, they'll still be, within a playoff spot. They'll still be this game Sunday. If they lose, it's not going to knock them out of the playoffs or anything. But it would be so huge to get this win over the Steelers.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose to a division opponent.
No, you don't. You don't want to get swept. And this game's also huge for if they want a shot at winning the division.
Right.
Which obviously you do, because you want that home playoff game. And I need a home playoff game in Cleveland. I need that. It would be...
I don't know if you'll be able to get a ticket. They'll be gone within 10 minutes.
The atmosphere would be crazy. Unlike...
You know how much those would be?
I don't care.
At least $1,000.
I don't care. I'm going. I don't care. So
let's be honest. When's the last time the Browns have won a division title?
1989.
Is that the last time? Okay, you know better than me, obviously, but
with Marty Schottenheimer.
It's been a while. So if they could get a division title, that'd be huge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I would love to see it, man. So this game is just gonna. I'm gonna be at the game this Sunday. I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat the whole time. So I'm looking forward to it.
You'll have to bring us in-game live feed.
Yeah, I'll have to. I might be a little.
I'm not
going to say that.
Give us the reactions,
Yeah, definitely.
Give us a quote from the game that really sticks out.
I just hope they win, because if they lose, I'm going to be a mess. I'm not going to be happy. Next week's going to be miserable talking about the weekend that was.
I mean, it's 50-50 with the Browns. You never know what you're going to get.
You just don't. And they're going to be favored heading into this game, odds-wise. They are. But it's the damn Steelers. I won't be surprised by anything.
We'll have to wait and see. Another exciting week of football coming up. Can't wait for it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the 1 Yard Line. Make sure you follow Come On Ref on the YouTube page and the Instagram and the TikTok. And make sure you watch every Wednesday at 11 a.m. live on YouTube of the Come On Ref show. And until next week, guys, enjoy a great week of football.
Also, tune in to Akron Aviators basketball this Saturday.
That as well. Yeah, Akron Aviators are taking on the Red River Buckets, Akron, Ohio.
Me and Jared will be on the call this Saturday.
Yeah, make sure you guys tune in. That'll be streamed live on YouTube. Yeah, so make sure you guys tune in.
See ya.